Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday. Happy Freaky Friday, all you freaks out there. Hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money, and there's no better day to make some money than Freaky Friday. We, of course, have our Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay like we do every single Friday here on the MLB Player Prop video series. And like we do every single Friday, we have an Amazon gift card giveaway in honor of Freaky Friday. The rules are very simple. All you have to do is comment Freaky down below in the comment section. So go ahead, comment Freaky down below in the comment section. And if today's parlay hits, one lucky commenter will win a free $25 Amazon gift card. That's right. It's that easy. It's that simple. You just got to comment Freaky, and if the parlay hits, one lucky commenter will go home with a free $25 Amazon gift card. We do these giveaways every single Friday here on the channel. So if you are new, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and join the fastest growing sports betting community on YouTube. All right, guys, before we dive into today's Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay, we do have to do a quick little recap of how we did yesterday. And we had another good day on our hands. A nice little 7-3 run going into today's Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay, which includes a 3-1 performance last night. The only miss we had was Andre Pallante over 2.5 earned runs. He did give up 7 hits in that game, and he did give up 2 earned runs. We were 1 earned run away from a clean sweep. But hey, a profitable day is a profitable day. We're not going to complain about missing the sweep. We'll take the money. I'm feeling good. So far, we've done 4 videos this week. 3 of the 4 videos we have cashed. So, and again, cash means we made money. We made profit 3 of the 4 days. We won't talk about Tuesday. Tuesday was a little bit of a mess. But we're feeling good. Again, positive momentum, some solid days this week. Overall, I would say a pretty good week. Let's go ahead and do a little heat check today with this 5-leg parlay. No time to waste. Let's dive in to today's picks. All right, guys, jumping right into the outlier screen. Our first player prop in today's video, our first leg of our 5-leg parlay, comes from the Rays-Orioles game, 7:05 p.m. first pitch. We have Yandy Diaz of the Tampa Bay Rays over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Now, we are using DraftKings for today's parlay, and yes, there will be some alternate lines in today's parlay. For those who say that it's guppy behavior or it's, P-word behavior to go ahead and utilize alternate lines, you guys don't know how to use parlays correctly. You might get lucky every now and again, but using some alternate lines in your parlays is the best way to go, especially when you're doing these bigger parlays, 5 legs, 6 legs, 7 legs, 4 legs, so on and so forth. But anyways, I digress. First leg of our 5-leg parlay, Yandy Diaz over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. We're grabbing this one for -150 over on DraftKings. And the data is pretty solid across the board. 7 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 2.7 hits, runs, RBIs per game over the last 10 games. Go ahead and stretch that data out to the last 20 games. Still solid, 75% hit rate, averaging 2.9 hits, runs, RBIs per game over the last 20 games. Stretch the data all the way out to the entire season view for the entire 2025 year. A 55% hit rate, not as strong as the more recent data, but still very solid. 41 out of 75 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 2.23 hits, runs, RBIs per game this year. And this number is very impressive from a head-to-head perspective with a very large sample size of 16 matchups against Baltimore, obviously being division rivals, that makes sense. But 11 of his last 16 matchups with the Orioles, he's cashed the over. That is a 69. Come on now, pause for applause. 69% head-to-head hit rate on Freaky Friday. You know that means this has to hit. 11 of the last 16 times he faced off with Baltimore, he's cashed the over, averaging 2.25 hits, runs, RBIs per game against the Orioles across the last 16 matchups. Now, they played 4 times so far this year, all this month, literally like a little over 10 days ago. These two teams matched up, and he cashed the over in 3 of 4 games in that series. So like I said, really solid data across the board here. We also have the insights provided by Outlier. By the way, guys, shout out to Outlier, the sponsor of today's video. We do offer a link down below in the description that gives you guys a 7-day free trial to go ahead and check out Outlier for yourself. It truly is the best sports betting tool on the market. Everything you're seeing right now on this page is brought to you by Outlier. And again, I'm only showing you guys a little bit of what Outlier provides. There's so much more insight, so many more tools to utilize within the tool. So go ahead and check it out for yourself. Again, link down below in the description, 7-day free trial. Thank you to Outlier for sponsoring today's video. The insight provided by Outlier, Yandy Diaz has exceeded 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 13 of his last 16 games. So very good run he's on right now. That's an 81% hit rate over his last 16 games, averaging 3.2 hits, runs, RBIs per game over the last 16 games. Looking down below the key matchup stats, Yandy Diaz overall this year having a solid season, 286 batting average, 128.6 WRC plus versus right-handed pitchers. If we narrow the data down to just his matchup versus righties, 302 batting average, 132.4 WRC plus. So really solid numbers there across the board. And a very good matchup here versus Tomoyuki Sugano. Did the best I could with that one. 355 ERA, 258 batting average, 319 WOBA. All of his numbers increase when facing off with right-handed batters like Diaz. And even if you look at the last 30-game data, the same is true. Not only is it true, it's actually a little bit better if we jump over to the GuyBostonSports.com dashboard. You see over the last 30 days, Diaz actually batting 377 versus right-handed pitchers with a 1.041 OPS. So really solid numbers here for Diaz. Really solid matchup. Good first leg of our 5-leg parlay. It's not even really an alternate line. All right, guys, our second leg of our 5-leg parlay. We have Red Sox, Blue Jays, 7:10 p.m. first pitch. We got Jarren Duran of the Boston Red Sox over half a strikeout. This is an alternate line, minus 225 over on DraftKings is what we're grabbing it for. And some really solid data across the board here for Duran. 8 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 1.1 strikeouts per game over the last 10 games. And honestly, the further you go ahead and stretch the numbers out, the more impressive it kind of becomes. You see last 20 game data, 85% hit rate, averaging 1.3 strikeouts per game over his last 20 games. And even if you go ahead and stretch the data out the entire season view for Jarren Duran, a 77% hit rate on this over, 62 out of 81 games he's cashed the over, averaging 1.1 strikeouts per game this season. So really good numbers, and again, this being a division matchup, he has a lot of head-to-head data against Toronto. In 13 of his last 20 matchups with the Blue Jays, he's cashed the over. That is, of course, a 65% hit rate, averaging 0.95 strikeouts per game over the last 20 matchups with Toronto. And then the insights provided by Outlier. Like I said, the data just keeps getting better and better with this player prop. Jarren Duran has exceeded half a strikeout in 16 of his last 18 games, averaging 1.4 strikeouts per game across the last 18 games. So really good numbers there. That's an 89% hit rate, averaging 4 strikeouts per game over the last 18 games. So really good numbers across the board here. Now, Duran has had some success against Jose Barrios, the pitcher for the Blue Jays. However, he does have 5 strikeouts there, so that is a 23.8% strikeout rate against Barrios in terms of the 21 plate appearances he has against him. So he has struck out a few times, so a little bit of history there. I won't say that's the greatest head-to-head data you've ever seen, but it is solid. And looking at Duran, even though his numbers do drop a little bit, his overall strikeout rate is 23.9 versus right-handed pitchers is actually 20.9, so a little bit worse. 20.9 is still pretty high. And then looking at Jose Barrios versus left-handed batters like Jarren Duran, his strikeout percentage is 23.5. So that 20.9 versus 23.5 mixed with the history that Duran has in striking out this year, I think it's a really solid second leg of our 5-leg parlay. All right, guys, our third leg of our 5-leg parlay, kind of going back in time a little bit here. We have Mets Pirates, 6:40 p.m. first pitch. We got David Peterson of the New York Mets under 2.5 earned runs. Grabbing this one for minus 170 over on DraftKings. So technically, I would say an alternate line. Again, my maximum for straight bets is minus 150. Anything above minus 150, I consider to be an alternate line, even though I don't know if it would technically be considered an alternate line. But minus 170 over on DraftKings. And the data, for the most part, overall is really solid. Now, if we do narrow it down to the last 5 games, it's not as good. To be fair to Peterson, though, some tough matchups. You got the Dodgers in there, the Braves in there, the Phillies in there. Again, some tougher teams that have scored some runs off of him. But he had actually cashed that in 6 consecutive games, the under I'm talking about, of course, going into this little 5-game stretch. And he did still cash the under against Washington. So 7 of his last 10 games, if we look at the overall 2025 season data, 11 out of 15 starts this year, he's cashed the under. It's a 73% hit rate, averaging just 2 earned runs allowed per game this year. So like I said, overall, the data is pretty strong. Of late, it's been rough sledding for him. But again, look at the matchups. I mean, he's played some of the better offenses in the National League of late. And from a head-to-head perspective, each of the last 2 times he's faced off with the Pirates. Once last year on July 6th and once this year on May 12th, he's cashed the under. Both times he gave up 2 runs, so very close to the line, but he still cashed regardless. And if we go ahead and jump over to the dashboard over on Guy Boston Sports, you see the Pirates batting over the last 30 days. This is a very favorable matchup for Peterson here. Overall, not good. Versus left-handed pitchers, not good. And versus tongue twisted there. Common occurrence on Freaky Friday. That was cringy. I should be fired just for that cringy, dirty joke. Last 30 days at home versus left-handed pitchers. You see, they're literally if not one of the worst hitting teams in baseball. So, really favorable matchup. The Pirates cannot hit specifically off of left-handed pitchers. They're especially struggling. And again, Peterson overall, he is having a very strong year. Like we said, one more time, last couple games, not so much. But overall, this should be a very favorable matchup for him against a Pirates team that just is not all that good. All right, guys, our 4th leg of our 5-leg parlay. We have Padres, Reds, 7:10 p.m. first pitch. We have Gavin Lux of the Cincinnati Reds over half a hit run RBI. So all we need him to do is do one of those 3 things. Either get a hit, get a run, or get an RBI. Just one of those 3 things, and we cash the over. Obviously, more, it just makes us feel better about ourselves. But all we need is one. We're grabbing this from -240 on DraftKings. It is most certainly an alternate line. And the data, being an alternate line, is pretty solid. 8 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over, averaging 1.8 hits, runs, RBIs per game over the last 10 games. And honestly, you go ahead and stretch the numbers out to, let's say, the last 20 games. It's still solid, 65% hit rate, averaging 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs per game over the last 20 games. Although, again, the last 10 is the most impressive, including 5 straight games he's cashed the over. But if we do go ahead and stretch the data out to the entire season view, it is still pretty solid. 64% hit rate on the year, averaging 1.69 hits, runs, RBIs per game this season. So pretty good numbers overall. And from a head-to-head perspective, which we have a lot of sample size, again, these teams seeing each other quite a bit in recent history. Lux obviously was a member of the Dodgers last year, so that obviously helps in terms of they were division rivals. But 12 of his last 17 matchups with the Padres, he's cashed the over. It's a 71% hit rate head-to-head, averaging 1.76 hits, runs, RBIs per game across the last 17 matchups with San Diego. So really good numbers there. And honestly, looking at the head-to-head data, in terms of the key matchup stats, it's still very solid. Gavin Lux versus Dylan Cease, 7 plate appearances since 2018. Pretty good success off of him. 3 hits and 2 RBIs. That is, of course, a 600 batting average with a 714 OBP. Again, only 7 plate appearances, so take that with a grain of salt. But he has had success against Cease in the past. Gavin Lux, 266 batting average, 105.1 WRC plus overall this year versus right-handed pitchers to kind of narrow it down. 289 batting average, 122 WRC plus, so really solid numbers there. And then looking at Dylan Cease, 450 ERA, 244 batting average. All of his numbers increase when facing off with left-handed batters like Gavin Lux. So everything looks very good with this player prop. The one number I do have to show you guys, because I do think it's very relevant, it's probably the reason why you're getting the value you are on this player prop, is the last 30-day data, Gavin Lux versus right-handed pitchers. Now, overall this season, again, you look at the screen, he's batting 289 off of right-handed pitchers, very good. The last 30 days, though, not so much. 220 batting average, 676 OPS. So definitely going downwards a little bit in terms of his matchups versus right-handed pitchers. It's incredibly risky, but I am willing to take the chance because of the history with Dylan Cease, the history with the Padres, his overall success versus right-handed pitchers this year, and the recent data. Again, 5 straight games he's cashed it, 8 of his last 10. Actually, in 6 straight games, he's cashed it. So I'm willing to take my chances. All we need from him is one of each of these categories. He just gets to get on base and get a run, and he cash the over, get a hit, and cash the over, sack fly. The key point being there's so many opportunities for him to cash the over, even if he doesn't get a hit. So I still am going to take the chance here, even though over the last 30 days, his batting versus right-handed pitchers has not been the best. All right, guys, our 5th and final leg of our Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay. We're targeting the Athletics-Yankees game, 7:05 p.m. first pitch. We've kind of been jumping around here with the start times. But Jazz Chisholm Jr. of the Yankees over half hit run RBI. Again, another alternate line, -240 over on DraftKings. All the sentiments we just talked about with the last player prop are still very true with this player prop. The line is only half a hit run RBI, so we only need him to get a run, a hit, anything, and he cashes the over. Again, very heavy alternate line, but for good reason. And like the last player prop, the data is very strong. 8 of his last 10 games, He's cashed the over, averaging 2.6 hits, runs, RBIs per game over the last 10 games. And the further you stretch it out, it's still pretty solid. Last 20 games, still a 70% hit rate, averaging 2.4 hits, runs, RBIs per game over the last 20 games. Overall this year, a 68% hit rate, 34 out of 50 games. He's cashed the over, averaging 2.02 hits, runs, RBIs per game. So, 68% overall, 70% last 20, 80% last 10. It's all very phenomenal data here for Jazz Chisholm. And even from a head-to-head perspective, although all these matchups are from last year, 3 of his last 5 matchups with the Athletics, he's cashed the over, averaging 1.8 hits, runs, RBIs per game across the last 5 matchups. And the insight provided by Outlier, just kind of reiterating some of the stuff we've already talked about here, but Jazz Chisholm has exceeded 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 7 of his last 8 games. That's an 88% hit rate, averaging 2.88 hits, runs, RBIs per game over his last 8 games. Now, scrolling down below here, the key matchup stats, at first glance, it may not seem all that impressive. Now, it's a very small sample size in terms of the individual head-to-head matchup. Jazz versus Mitch Spence, just 2 plate appearances since 2018. He's done nothing but strike out once against them. And Chisholm overall this year having an okay year, 242 batting average, 127.1 WRC plus. Not great, but not terrible. Versus right-handed pitchers, his WRC plus does increase, but you do see the batting average slightly decrease. But if we narrow that down to the last 30 days, the numbers are actually very, very solid. And the key thing here, though, is that Mitch Spence versus left-handed batters this year has been abysmal. 5.79 ERA, 320 batting average allowed, 383 WOBA. He has struggled impressively versus left-handed batters like Jazz Chisholm this year. But like I said, guys, if we jump over the dashboard over on Guy Boston Sports and narrow the numbers down to the last 30 days for Jazz Chisholm, you see a 333 batting average this year, over the last 30 days of this year versus right-handed pitchers with a 1.011 OPS. And you see his runs above average versus pitch types over the last 30. The only 2 pitches he struggled with are slider and the curveball. Everything else he's been pretty solid. And you do look at the pitching pie chart here for Mitch Spence. You see the cutter is what he utilizes the most. Now the slider is still pretty high up there, which you see he struggled a little bit. But the cutter's 47.9% over the last 30 days. You do see a positive run above average against the cutter. And overall this year, he's had a decent amount of success against the cutter. So pretty good numbers across the board here. Solid 5th and final leg of today's parlay. All right, guys, those are all 5 legs in today's parlay. Quick little run through here. Jarren Duran over half a strikeout. David Peterson under 2.5 earned runs. Yandy Diaz over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Gavin Lux over half hit run RBI. And Jazz Chisholm over half a hit run RBI. You parlay all 5 together over on DraftKings, you get a parlay of plus 677 odds. So phenomenal value on today's Freaky Friday 5-leg parlay. And you see the data is pretty strong across the board on all these player props. I'm feeling pretty good about this one, guys. That is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching one more time. Please make sure to go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. We'll be back tomorrow, win or lose, with another MLB Player Prop video. Until then, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy your Friday. Have some freaky fun. Let's go ahead, make some money.